couldn't help but notice young Jake's face, smack bang in the middle of the top suggested of all the videos on the entire YouTube on the gaming tab. Bro took the time to Photoshop in a little 2 there next to the Cyberpunk on the box. 53k in 2 days, not the best of numbers. Have a word with the paid strategy team at Gamer Ranks, mate, get that pushed a little bit. Leave them alone, mate. Come on, they need all the help they can get. They don't, they're smashing it, they're turning the platform into terrestrial TV. And it got me thinking, what would I like to see in a Cyberpunk sequel, or a sequel C? That's what we're going to get to, that's what this story is. Notice I use the terminology, what I would like to see in a Cyberpunk sequel, not I want, what I want. Leave them, Coop, leave them alone. Mike Pondsmith has piped up, the original creator of the Cyberpunk series, and said that it will have a second city that's going to be like a Chicago gone wrong. That's a little bit like saying it's going to be like Mike Tyson, but punches really hard. I'll let you Democrats work that one out. This list consisted of 10 things, but it kind of ballooned. I've got some subsets, but the first thing is less NPC duplication. It is still in there. It's still rife. I'm playing older Ubisoft games at the moment, and I see less in a game that was made in 2018. That trickles on to the buildings and the lack of entry to loads of really key structures on the map. Some of the biggest factories and branded buildings you can't even get into. The game's very clever with duping you with open missions, making you think that you are always going to go into a nice big massive hotel and have some cover-based corridor combat. No, it's kind of a one-off. I just want to get one thing clear before going forward, because Cyberpunk is going to get a bit flailed in this video. No one advocated more for this game's improvement than myself on YouTube. 18 patch videos, I kept the closest eye on it. Whenever anything good happened, I pushed it out and told everyone about it. And this list would have had 50 things on it on first year of launch, but thankfully I've fizzled it down to 10. So the next thing is more bike variety. We do have lots of different model of bike. There's that thing with Keanu's company, but they all have the sort of same wheelbase and roughly the same performance. I would love to see 4-wheel quads or even some off-road bikes, scramblers, scooters, a bit more variety on that front. That also brings me onto the camera full stop within vehicular combat. It's got a snapback on it. It's the most frustrating thing ever for someone like me who wants that 360 pan. It constantly resets itself, and it needs to be a proper free roaming right stick look around like every other open world vehicle game. Sticking on that variety subject, in the sequel it would be great to see more police variation and more robots. That is a bullet point on my list. It just says more robots exclamation mark. You've only got one decent like Ed 209 bipedal monstrosity, and then you've got these little drones. There's just not enough machinery from them. But kudos for getting a bit of variety in the actual boots on the ground officer, and you have the Netrunner style special agent, so that one is a bit of a plus. But yeah, more robots brackets exclamation mark. So then we have a major bullet point on my list, third person mode. Now I guarantee that is probably in the works on the sequel anyway, but I was very surprised it's not put in for this original game. I was quite surprised to see it not added in that Phantom Liberty DLC. Everything else was. And on the subject of adding, and on the plus or a pat on the back for the Cyberpunk team, is the in-vehicle shooting and combat and police chase system. They upped everything on that front. I've got to commend the guys for that. Despite it being the same people coming after you all the time in the same vehicles, they did put a wanted system in. It does work, and it's quite rewarding to indulge in. Vehicle repair, or on-the-fly vehicle repair. I think it would be a great idea, just like the paint job edition, to be able to repair your car as you're going along. It will cost you money depending on how damaged that thing is, but being able to flip a few buttons and have a pristine car available would be an absolute blessing for anybody who's particularly involved in that photo mode. You are so precarious with the cars that it almost sucks the fun out of having a decent one, because one big scratch or clang from that semi-blind AI and you're back to square one with finding a new edition of that vehicle, unless you want to switch it out and buy a new one. A system that was not too dissimilar to GTA's would be welcome. We gotta have the chat about censorship. I'm often looking at bigger name social media accounts who are pointing out with massive outrage some minor bit of covering on a dress on a JRPG character from 1996. Like, they'll lose their minds over it. But nothing's ever said about all of the scrambled adverts in the Middle East version of this game. I don't live there anymore, but the profile that this was downloaded on locks it against my regional preference, which is something you cannot alter within the Sony account. So this is baked in to the profile. I've repeatedly brought it up. I do not want to see anything like this in the sequel, and Gamer Ranks, I look forward to your video exposing this, not holding my breath. Jesus, Coop, I thought you were going to keep this light. I thought it was going to be about pearlescent paint jobs or something. My next point is on the combat, the melee close quarters stuff. It would be well cool to have an actual allocated parry. I know you get some weird stuff happening with the gorilla hands when you upgrade everything, but just a standard sword clang. I'm not asking for Sekiro, but something in that direction. And also tie that in with the slowdown mechanic. This game featured on my top bullet time videos. It has got a slowdown, but it's just not stretched enough. It's not there for everybody unless you really explore it to open it up in some of the upgrade menu. Because it's purely offline and single player, I just don't know why they didn't go to town with it, particularly when you're driving, that sort of thing. Did that GTA 5 video recently on the single player front, and you forget how cool the bullet time is in that video game. My final point, and I think something that could always be tweaked in a lot of games of this model, and that is just AI full stop. Better pedestrian and NPC AI would be great, and I imagine if they do launch a sequel, that whole setup will have a complete rework. I think one of the things that happened with Cyberpunk 2077 was that they overstretched a little bit with the concept, and they also had a lot of staff leave and a lot of controversies during the development of the game. It's blatant that there's loads of sections to this that didn't get the treatment or just were walked away from. You can even see certain sections of that map that people have discovered. Can I please have 10 of your Cyberpunk wish lists for the sequel? My name was, of course, Couch Coop, and I will see you down there. Have you provided a thumbnail with your mouth open, interlinked? Are you sitting in front of IKEA shelves with bobbleheads, interlinked? Is the title the most annoying rhetorical question ever, interlinked? Is the content on the intellectual level of a 7-year-old, interlinked? Is the video game a day old and online only and costs £70, interlinked? Greg Miller's an absolute idiot, interlinked.
You're not even close to baseline.